So it's back. The Spineless Multiclub save returns, where I'm not managing one team, I'm not managing two teams, and now I'm not even just managing three teams. There are 4 teams now added to our Spineless Multiclub network. And let me tell you, playing Football Manager this way, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot to catch you up on, so let's get into it. Come on. Welcome back then to the Spineless Multiclub save, where we left things off a few weeks ago now, maybe even months at this stage, after we just won the Champions League with one of our Spineless teams. It was Spineless Wolfsburg, who beat another of our teams, Wolves, in the final 4-1. This felt like a natural place to at least pause things, maybe even say that we'd finished our adventure at this stage. However, you guys are incessant, and on every video basically since I finished up this series on YouTube, you've been asking, when's the multi-club coming back? Is it coming back? Are we getting more videos? So here we are today. You better put your money where your mouth is and like today's video, because we're going to continue the multi-club adventure, because actually since that point I have been continuing to stream the save over on Twitch, as well as the VODs coming over here to YouTube. If you want to check those VODs, they are on the second channel. You can see all of them if you go to Clayts too, which I'll link in the description of today's video. However, today we're going to continue the journey, and if we feel like there's an appetite for it, we can continue it as a solely YouTube save from this point on. So you'll have to let me know in the comments down below. Do you want this to continue? You'll have to leave likes on the video. It really does depend on how the video does as well. We will see. But today we pick things up from this point here. If you remember back, there are 3 videos if you need to go and catch yourself up before watching this one, but I'll give you a bit of an update, a recap to start today's video as well. We've just won the Champions League with Spineless Wolfsburg. We are also in charge of Wolves, as I showed you there. We got to the Champions League final with them. They won the Premier League. Wolfsburg as well won the Bundesliga. We are also in charge at Spineless Wolfsberger, who play their football in Austria, but the Austrian league is combined with the Swiss league, and it's called the Alpenliga. I'll go through the teams and show you how their seasons finished up. This was the Wolfsburg season, the best season of any of our teams in our network by far. They've won the Champions League, look, with this 4-1 victory against Wolves after knocking out Real Madrid in the semi-final. They knocked out, I think it was, Monaco before that, and Spurs before that point there. This is the team. It's an outrageous side that we've built here at Wolfsburg, with the highlight maybe being Florian Wirtz at right back. I've nicknamed him Florian Inverts because it is a bit weird, and I did get a lot of grief from the comments for playing Florian Wirtz as a right back. I feel like it's justified because we've just won the Champions League. However, it is odd, isn't it? It is weird. Also, there's a lot of people very upset that I was playing like Desiree Doué as a defensive midfielder. This is Football Manager. It's also about 6 years since the last FM came out, so we're gonna experiment and we're gonna have some fun with these things. It's just the way it's gonna be. Either way though, this team that we built with Hato, Mosquera, Kirkes, Neves, Larson, Yamal is here now, Matisse Tal on the left. Sultani's a new gen striker. He does have a face because I added a face because I think he's going to be really good. Was one of our new signings up front. He's alongside Sesko here, and we've got great backups as well. Nelson Viper always scores. Got 20 goals for him, look. Is really cool. 28 goals from Sesko here. This Wolfsburg team is probably the tip of everything that we're doing in our network. However, we are also in charge at Wolves, and I want to show you their team after they won the Premier League. Quickly here, look. They won the league by 7 points. Newcastle in second. City down in 4th. Look, Liverpool in 10th, which is a little bit outrageous, isn't it? Top goal scorer in the Premier League was Josh Sargent, which is odd. And this is that Wolves team, probably the highlights in there. Junior Krupi has turned out brilliantly. He got 10 goals here. Nicolo Trasoldi got 28 goals. Look, with Samu up front alongside him. This team did brilliantly to win the league and get to the Champions League final, but I do kind of feel like we're ahead of schedule with them a little bit. Also, yes, I am playing Carlos Baliba as a left back, but then again, that is Carlos left back to me and you, really, isn't it? Astor Franks as a right back is odd as well. But as I say, we're having fun with positions, aren't we? Finally, we have Spineless Wolfsberger in the Alpenliga, and they've won the league now. I think it's every season so far in this save. Yeah, all 4 seasons. Look, they have been champions because we've built a team that is, well, it's way too good for the Austrian Swiss league, to be honest with you. Got a lot of players on loan from our other teams here. Mastantuono, Doué. Got Lenny Yoro on loan. This youngster here, Christian Gruber, 29 goals from him, is a really promising striker. There's a conversation to be had. Do we move him back to Wolfsburg for next season and use him there? Or actually, is he best placed to just be scoring goals at Wolfsberger at this stage? Another one. He's a new gen, by the way, who's also been added a face. You can probably tell because you guys can spot these things. But he's fantastic. This team is fantastic. At this point here, we only had 3 teams, though. And you would have seen in the intro that I did then go and add a fourth team. And that came about because of the storyline involving Anton Salatros. Now, if you're familiar with the save, you will know that Anton Salatros was our manager at the beginning of the save at Wolfsburg. He had 3 seasons here before he jumped ship to join our biggest rivals, Bayern Munich. He was appointed as the Bayern Munich manager. We then had to panic around a little bit and we moved one of our other managers, Manny Fanny, from Wolfsberger to Wolfsburg. And then we integrated a 4th manager, Michael DeZeo, in as the Wolfsberger manager. So there's a bit of a roundabout there. Now, though, Salatros has been sacked as the Bayern Munich manager, meaning he's available and on the market. And if you remember back to the last video, we were having a conversation. Does this facilitate a 4th club coming into the network? Do we give that 4th club to Salatros? Do we give that 4th club to somebody else? Do we move around our managers? And well, that's what we went and did. So I made Anton Salatros the manager at Wolfsberger, which may not be what you're expecting here. And that's because we did introduce a 4th team, but I gave that job to Mickey DeZeo. Michael DeZeo is now the manager at our newest team in the network, Spineless Sporting. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have seen in other videos that Spineless Sporting was popping up and their badge was different, and you guys are constantly spotting it going, what's going on there? Why is there a Red Bull Braga, etc, etc? Well, it's because I've been playing this save and changing things in it that weird things happen in other videos. I'm doing a Newcastle rebuild and then Spineless Sporting are in it. That's just going to happen because I'm not going to go in and change the name every single time we do anything. So I'm sure lots of you will have seen this coming, but Spineless Sporting are now our 4th team in the network. In Portugal, we kind of went with vibes on this one. They didn't have a wolf on the badge or anything like that, but it felt like the vibes sort of fit. And if you know me, especially in streams, I follow the vibes and follow the storyline. And this one kind of fit. And also, I will do a bit of a disclaimer as well. I know that the name Spineless Sporting makes absolutely no sense, but I think it works for this save, all right? It's not serious. It's just one of those things. And obviously, Sporting as a club would never let you go in and change their name to Spineless Sporting, but this isn't real, okay? Remember that, it isn't real. We play at the Estadio Spineless, and this is our team heading into our 5th season. I'm going to update you now on all of the transfer business that I have done across our 4 teams. And let me tell you, there were spreadsheets involved. There was a lot of moving this player to here, moving this person to here, moving these funds to this club. I have racked up more charges than Man City could dream, I would probably imagine. However, I think we've got all 4 teams into a position where they can be competitive and have really good seasons now. But there's going to be a lot of updating that I'm about to give you. Just a quick one as well. This video is going to be a lot of me talking about my Football Manager save. It will be quite rambling. And you know what? And it might be a bit different to other videos in that I take a lot more time to go through everything that we're doing because there's a lot going on. There's 4 teams that we're managing here and there's a lot to update you on. Please ask questions in the comments if you feel like there's something I've not really explained properly because, as you can imagine, I'm trying to get through a lot of stuff here. Also, just sit back, enjoy, listen to me talk about Football Manager, eat your lunch, do your work, whatever you might be up to. It's going to be one of those long form videos today, and I make no apologies for that because I feel like you guys actually do like that type of content. So here we go. Let's begin with Wolfsberger for this season because I think this team here, as probably now, if we go through our 4 teams, they're probably the 3rd biggest team. I'd probably order them as at the top of the food chain, if you like. I'd probably put Wolfsburg at the top, then it would be Wolves, then it would be Wolfsberger, and then now it's Sporting. Sporting, by the way, I just need to update you, finished 3rd last season, and they've not won the league now for a while. Not for the past 3 seasons, Porto have been champions. So they're also not in the Champions League, but they are in the Europa League for this season, which is why I would put them just below Wolfsberger at this stage, because Wolfsberger are a Champions League team. I'd imagine that that might well flip if we can get Sporting back into the Champions League, but just because of the nation that they play in, Portugal being a better league, a bigger league than the Alpenliga. But right now, I'd probably put it in that order. Wolfsburg, Wolves, Wolfsberger, and then Sporting. And so transfer-wise, that's sort of how you do it. There's a bit of a hierarchy in that the very best players, you kind of want to make sure are at Wolfsburg and then work everything else out in that order a little bit. We'll start, though, with Wolfsberger, who are 3rd in that hierarchy. But I feel like they do tell the story quite nicely about where everybody is because there's so many loans. I send so many loans over to Wolfsberger to try and get them to be not just competitive in their home league, in this league, because we win it every year, but also if we can be competitive or more competitive in the Champions League, that would be a really big thing. Last season in the Champions League, they went out in the round of 16 to Man City, which, I mean, there's no shame in that at all, is there? But they actually won, look, 2-1 in the first leg and then lost 4-2. We can make it to the latter stages, past the round of 16 into the quarters and semis, That'd be really nice. If we can get all 4 teams to make up the semi-final teams of the Champions League one day, how glorious would that be, knowing that you've won the Champions League, you just don't know which of your clubs has won it yet. And by the way, let me know in the comments down below, where do we want this save to go? If you want to see more of it, if there is appetite for people to watch this save, what is the end goal here? Because we've won a Champions League. Where do you go from that? I suppose really it's world domination, isn't it? Maybe it is the time where we get all 4 teams into the semi-finals of the Champions League. Should we make that the aim? Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, let's go to this Wolfsberger team here. And I'm going to show you it actually after 4 games of the season. I've gone to the 3rd of September, which is where the windows have now closed and all of the transfer business has been concluded. This is how I see the Wolfsberger team looking. If we go through it from the back to the front here, we've got Zlatko Tomac in goal. He's a youth intake goalkeeper that we got, and he's fantastic. He's actually wanted by Manchester United and FC Lausanne. Now, there was a point where I very nearly sold him for about £20 million to United before I realised that I wouldn't be able to replace him because the window in Austria had closed, but the other transfer windows were still open. So I literally wouldn't have been able to have bought a goalkeeper. And so luckily I was able to reject it and he didn't end up going. However, he is now upset about not being able to leave to go to United. Look, so something to watch. He's still wanted. I put his value look at £22 million and he seems okay with that. I kind of want to keep hold of him because he's a youth intake keeper and I think he must be quite good if United want him. But just a heads up, that battle may now continue. In the defence, we have now got Vinicius Tobias as our right backs. Long-term fans of the channel, you will know how much I love Vinicius Tobias. He's been languishing a little bit because he's not been playing at Wolfsburg. This is the current season. Look, he played a game and now he's moved on loan. He played 23 times for Wolfsburg last year, but only 3 starts. I actually think getting him over to Wolfsberger and starting every game will be really good for him. We know that he can, like, the average ratings are there, look, even in this save, look. And he did spend some time here in his first season, way back in 2024-25, look, and he was quite good at that stage. We've moved him back. It's on loan, but we might make that permanent, I reckon, so we will see. Then we've got Lenny Yoro, now a permanent signing for Wolfsberger. I've signed him for £10 million, which might be quite cheap, but it was about his value, actually. His value had come down a bit since that £25 million move to Wolves, and we've now signed him after his loan move last year. I've now made him a permanent fixture at Wolfsberger. I don't think we're going to see Lenny Yoro hit his full potential, which he can get to in Football Manager. I don't think we've got a great role on him. Even though he is a good centre-back, I don't think he's going to be the top centre-back. So he'll be good for Wolfsberger, I think. And I'm actually really enthused about this centre-back partnership. Nathan Zezi alongside him. Very highly rated IRL, actually, Zezi. He plays for Nantes in France, but we've had him here for a while now. We signed him for Wolfsburg and then loaned him to Wolfsburger, and he's been here since, look, since signing permanently. Plays every game. Him and Yoro, I think, complement each other quite nicely, and both French as well, which is quite nice. And then we've got Valentin Barco now. I've signed him for £25 million. Now, if you watch the stream where this happened, you'll sort of know the story here. He was available. His transfer value was about £2.5 million. And I was like, that is a bargain for a left back that is as good as this on Football Manager, who's sort of been languishing because he's not been playing on the game. I was like, £2.5 million. It's a no-brainer. We're going to sign him. And then they came back to me, were like, actually, no, it's not £2.5 million. It's £25 million. So I don't know if somebody made a mistake in the admin of putting down his transfer value. Well, by that point, I was sort of convinced that I really wanted him. So we spent quite a lot of money, but Wolfsberger, they did have money. So I've bought him anyway. I'm not sure we needed to spend that much on him. And I'm not sure he's actually that good. I mean, he is good. He's solid, isn't he? But I do think it makes for a really strong defense and goalkeeper now. That I think that's a really good unit. Remember what we said about being the aims for this save. If we can get Wolfsberger further in the Champions League, I think having a solid back 5 will make a big difference with that. And then in front of them, we've got Daniel Dagger, who has been here a while and is actually developing quite nicely. He's got a massive value. Look, still only 21. He will be starting as a defensive midfielder. And then Desiree Doué is on loan. Now, is he a DM? He's definitely not in real life, is he? But actually, walk with me on this one. Look at his profile here. I'm not sure he's actually quite good enough to go and play left wing as an inside forward for us. I think he's just lacking a bit of pace and things like that. And we've got good options in that position. Is he terrible as a defensive midfielder or like as a DM, as a number 6 here? Kind of ignore the role because our defensive midfielder doesn't really play like a defensive midfielder. You'll see them in the engine bombing on and getting forward. I don't think he's terrible at it. It's only really aggression that he's missing. He's got 10 tackling. He's okay at marking. And then he's just got loads of quality on the ball, which is actually what I want. And he's got a bit of an engine as well to run. It is a bit crazy and it might be a massive waste of what a footballer he can be. But I just don't think he's quite the footballer that he is in real life in Football Manager anyway. And I don't know, it gets him in the team. And I think in the Austrian league that we're playing in, I think it kind of makes sense. Then we've got Mastantuono again on loan. It's another loan here. Third season in a row where he's on loan at Wolfsberger. I do maybe want to transition him to be a starter at Wolfsburg or one of our other teams at some point. But for now, I still think this is the best place for him to be playing because he plays every game and he's so important for this team. Then I've also signed Claudio Echeverri to go and play on the other side. He's very similar to Mastantuono. He's at Liverpool. They've allowed us to loan him and we might be able to sign him permanently as well. Then up front, Majic is still here. Gruber, who was here last season, has gone back to Wolfsburg. And I've brought in, alongside Majic, Koki Seto. He's an 18-year-old Japanese international, or under 23 international, I should say, who I just think might actually do quite well here at Wolfsburg. I don't know if he'll be prolific, but for the sake of £5.25 million, I think he looks quite good. He's got good pace acceleration, really good finishing. He's young. He's in the under 23s at 18. I don't know, Koki Seto. I like the look of him. These two, I think, should score goals. I do wonder if that's the place where you might want to go and get an absolute worldie. If you want to win the Champions League, maybe it needs a slight improvement. But for now, I'm quite happy with this. And you can see the players that then we've got in on loan. Baroshalotto is on loan from Wolves. Leo Zatrone is on loan from Wolfsburg. And that makes up our Wolfsberger team. And very quickly, I'll just show you the players that we let go or sold in the summer. We loaned Noah Mikic to Sporting. We'll get to Sporting in a second. We also loaned to Sporting. This is why we're going to get to them in a second. Ozcan, Kusiaser, Alex Valla and Rodrigo Mora have all departed Wolfsberger to go to our new team, Spineless Sporting. Look, a bit of money exchanged hands for Valla and Mora, and then a loan for Ozcan and Mikic. But 5 players are now making up that Sporting team. Having a new team, I really was quite cutthroat, to be honest. At Sporting, I sold basically the entire first team squad and brought in players from our existing squads and then signed 1 or 2 players to make up the numbers as well. It's been a very aggressive transfer window, this one, with lots of movement, but with a new team coming in, I felt like we had to do that. We also did sell Jalrego to Leipzig in this window for about £20 million. I can't remember if that was a release clause or not, but it may have been. And either way, he really wanted to go there. So we've allowed him to go for decent money. Jalrego is a good player. It's a shame, especially to let him go to Leipzig, one of our rivals. But we signed him for 14. He had 3 good full seasons here, and then we sold him for 17. So a little bit of a profit on him too. It kind of just made sense. I think he may have actually said he was going to run down his contract. I'm trying to remember exactly the ins and outs of that deal. But anyway, he's departed. There are the signs that you can see. There was also the permanent move of Obregon in there, as well as a youngster in Rizaliti and a youngster in Molinier, who we signed for £8 million as well. Always trying to bring in, good new gens that we managed to scout and find. He's come in too, but I don't know if he'll be a starter yet. That's the Wolfsberger business. I told you it's going to be a lot of me chatting you through everything today, but I love Football Manager transfers and I hope that you guys too. We're now going to let's go to Wolfsburg. At the top of our pyramid, Wolfsburg's squad now looks like this. In goal, Atabolo continues. At right back, Wirtz continues, of course. The back 4 is actually exactly the same, with a couple of young players coming in to become backups. But actually, this Wolfsburg team hasn't changed all that much, really. And actually, this Wolfsburg team as a whole hasn't changed all that much. There is a big departure, though, in midfield, and that is at this left-sided position here, where Sudakov is currently playing, but João Neves would usually be the starter. That's because last season, we sold Angelo Stiller to Bayern Munich for 83 million, rising to 96. That was in the January, so we needed to go and bring in midfielders, basically, in there. So I went and signed for £76 million Xavi Simons. Now, will we do the Desiree Doué to him and play him as a defensive midfielder? Maybe. I think I might try and use him as a left winger a little bit more than that, though. I also signed Haruhi Sudakov from Everton. He's probably just about on the line of these young players that we're going for. He's 26, but I still feel like he's in his prime. And he's just a solid Football Manager player. So for £35 million, he replaces Stiller in the squad, if you like. I've also seen a lot of players leave. Look, the big one I need to tell you about is that I've moved Benjamin Sesko. I think he was top goal scorer here at Wolfsburg last year. But we've decided he's going to become the striker at Wolves this season, or one of the strikers at Wolves this season, because of the returning Christian Gruber at Wolfsburg. I've decided I'm going to give him a go at Wolfsburg. He scored all of those goals last season for Wolfsburg. 20 and 25 starts, actually. He's going to become our main man here at Wolfsburg. He's made a good start as well. 3 goals in his first 3 games. He's going to be the main man with the other wonder kid, Soltani. We've still then got other options. Matthijs Tau could play up front if we need him to. Nelson Viper is still here. He always scores goals if we need him to. As well as a youngster signing in, I call him Iggy Dubs. Ignace de Buisson is a Belgian 16-year-old who I think might be quite special. We've spent £30 million on him from Bayern, so taking him from a rival as well. He's only 16, and just look how good he is, getting games and scoring goals for the under-21s for Belgium as well. I just think we may have got ourselves a bit of a gem here, and actually, I think it makes sense to get these young players in and play them. I can't loan him yet because he's only 16, but let's give him game time. Let's get him into the first team squad. He's on £55 a week, for Pete's sake. He is apparently inconsistent, but I feel like that might develop with time anyway. So hopefully it does. But he comes in for 30 million. And then those are the only real changes, except as I mentioned, the signing of backup defenders. Expensive backup defenders, I will say that. One is not expensive, but Brandon Fallardo is a left back option who's going to finish his season with Envigado in Colombia and then join in January. But actually for £1 million, his value's already gone up because technically he's our player now. I think he's a really good backup left back. And again, he's super young. So we're signing all of these good young players. I have signed Noah Darvic from Barcelona, immediately then loaned him to Sporting to become one of their midfielders. I signed Lamidi Toure, a player that I've had my eye on for ages, for £50 million as a centre-back. Again, also immediately loaned him out to Sporting to be their centre-back. He's another French youngster. We've got Zezi, we've got Yoro, now we've got Toure. These young French centre-backs, we seem to be doing all right with those. Dominic Buchler as well for £65 million is another centre-back. He's going to stay at Wolfsburg and be one of our backup centre-backs. And he is, he's outrageous. Again, 19 years old. He's got 25 caps for the under-21s already. And I think it's quite nice for Wolfsburg to try and make sure they get all of the best young German talent as well. It just makes sense to do that, doesn't it? He's 6'2" already. And yeah, I think he's got a big future for him as well. And I think that's all of the business here. That is all of the Wolfsburg business. I don't think there was anything else here. No, just the signing of Claudio, which was in the January window. It actually happened in February, but we signed him before. I think that's it then. That updates you on the Wolfsburg squad. We've done 2. There's 2 more squads to go, but I'm going to take a quick break here to do an advert. And the advert is me. I'm going to advertise my own fit. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to advertise something that I'm going to be doing myself now. I wanted to tell you about a new save that is starting here on YouTube live this weekend. Now, you may be watching this at a different time, but on Sunday, the 6th of July, 2025, a new save is going to begin on YouTube, and it is called DOF to Glory. Now, this is a save where we're going to become a director of football at a lower league team. Yet to be decided, but it will be a lower league team where we become the director of football and we conduct all of the transfer business before we hand over the responsibilities for the match and training and everything else to an assistant manager that we choose to become our head coach. We will live stream every week at the same time here on YouTube. And then in the week, I will continue the save, simulating forward to see how our manager does for coming back each weekend to do the next transfer window and manage the squad as the director of football. It will mean you will get a 2 to 3 hour director of football episode going out on YouTube every single week, which you can watch as a VOD or you can come and watch it live. Again, Sundays, 10 a.m, 6th of July. New save begins here on YouTube. I wanted to let you know there is a link to that live stream in the description of today's video where you can go and click it and make sure that you get a notification when the stream actually goes live. I'm very excited for it. I feel like it's going to be a really good way to give you guys an extra video, an extra series on the channel. And it's going to be a director of football. It's going to be transfers, and it's the best way to play Football Manager. So go and click the stream, go and get notified. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And apologies for interrupting my own video with an advert for myself. Let's get back to the transfers in our spineless save. Back to transfers then. We are now going to have a quick look at Wolves, where we also spent a lot of money this summer. In fact, we spent £343 million this summer. We signed Banyos permanently. He was here before. We signed Zeno de Bast from Wolfsberger to be one of our centre-backs at Wolves now. I feel like he's good enough. We signed Murillo on a free. Definitely a Man City type charge for this one. I've just moved him on a free there. And here are the big boys. Look, we have signed Adam Wharton for £83 million. He comes in to play in our midfield too. I've also, alongside him, signed Romeo Lavia. We needed a midfielder, probably not 2, but we needed midfielders because I made the decision that Archie Gray was going to become our right back from this point on now. Now, Archie Gray has actually played right back for Leeds and then Spurs in real life, so he can definitely play there. And then that also facilitated the sale of Joachim Mailer in the summer for £19 million. He went to Leeds United. So I signed midfielders to come in to replace him. Wharton, Lavia, they feel like the right type of profile of player for this save. They're amazing young players, and I'm trying to get all of the world's best young players to be in the Spineless network, whether that's real players like Adam Wharton or the best new gens like Christian Gruber, for example. I want them to play for one of our teams. And now we've got 4 teams. So all of the best talent are going to be at our clubs, I'm hoping anyway. I've also signed a player from Sporting for 35 million and then immediately loaned him back. Yes, that might be a letter from FIFA about to arrive, but we didn't have loads of money at Sporting and Wolves had loads of money. So I just sort of sent them a bit of money and took their player and loaned him back to them. Is that illegal? I feel like it definitely is. Either way, it's going to help them massively in the summer transfer window. You'll see with the business that they've done. Look, you can see he's gone back on loan here. He's also pretty good and will eventually be a pretty good player in this save too. An 18-year-old under 20 international for Brazil. £35 million. It's a fair price, I still think, as well. It's just a little bit shady. I've then also signed Sesko for Wolves. As I mentioned before, £60 million for Sesko. This was done, 1, to accommodate Gruber going to Wolfsburg, but 2, because we received a bid from Arsenal of £101 million, or at least rising to £101 million for big Samu. He ended up having a season and a half at Wolves. Look, 27 league goals in his 51 games for us. And now he's gone to Arsenal to be their main man for what will be £101 million, which is actually a profit as well. We spent a lot of money on him and it will turn into a bit of a profit too. I couldn't say no to that amount of money, basically. It did, though, give us that plus the mailer sale, gave us a lot of money to go and spend in this window. We also sold Bino Gittens to Augsburg for 11 million and Alvaro Rodriguez, the striker, for 14.5 million. So 127 million pounds in. When you turn that into installments, well, it means that we spent 343 million pounds. Sesko in. I also signed from Liverpool Paulo Escobar. He's another player that I've had on my watch list for a while. When he was still at Millonarios in Colombia, I wanted to sign him. Liverpool ended up getting him for an absolute snip look for 1.6 million pounds. We loaned him last year. Now I've signed him permanently because again, he's a really good young player in the save that I just want to have at our club. So he comes in for big money. He's going to be one of our options, either up front or on the wing as well. I've also loaned Arda Güler. I don't know if he's going to play, but again, young, really good player, one of the best young players in the world, etc. I want him to play for one of our teams. We've loaned him from Real Madrid where he wasn't very happy. And I've also signed a couple of youngsters as well. That is the Wolves business. You see the outgoings here, Lenny Yoro off to Wolfsberger, etc. This is now what the squad looks like. Dennis Simon will continue in goal. Archie Gray, Zeno de Bast, Maria probably won't be a starter. Instead, that's Abakar Silla. It will be this defence here with Baliba at left back. If we don't play Baliba, we've also got Alvaro Carreras, who's also pretty good. He's wanted, actually. A lot of our players are wanted. I could have sold way more players in this summer, but I wanted to hold on to as many of them as possible, obviously. Our midfield, Alex Scott and Adam Wharton. A nice English core to our team there, which is quite cool, especially with Gray in there at right back too, which we've kind of struggled to do in this save generally. To try and keep players from those nations in those teams is difficult when you're trying to sign all the best players in the world. Then though, ahead of them, we've got Pafundi on the right hand side. It will probably be Krupi starting on the left hand side with Trasoldi and Sesko up front, which is a quite classic spineless front too. I think both of them probably, did they play together at Wolfsburg? Trasoldi was at Wolfsburg for, to be fair, he was only there season 1 and he didn't actually play for Wolfsburg. So no, they didn't. But they've both been now at Wolves and Wolfsburg, haven't they? Sesko came in straight at Wolfsburg and played loads, and now he's made the move here, look. That's an exciting squad, I think. And then with a good backup in Banyos, who's injured at the moment. He's only 19 as well. I think this team can do really well. Can they go back-to-back in the Premier League? That will always be difficult, but that is the plan. And then the same thing, I suppose, for Wolfsberger to win their league, Wolfsburg to win their league, and then over finally to the new team in the network, which is Spineless Sporting. There was a lot of transfers to do. As I mentioned, I sold a lot of players. I mean, the list, look at that. I've basically sold the entire squad. This was a transfer stream for the ages. The most money we received was 35 million from one of our other teams, but Marcus Edwards going, Manu Silva, Bagranza, Dantas, Israel, McKendy, Araujo, all the way down, look. It ended up being 34 people were sold or loaned out in the summer. A completely new squad was needed. And as I said before, a lot of those players came from our other clubs. There is 1, 2, 3. There were 6 from Wolfsberger. There were 5 from Wolfsburg. And then there was 1 from Wolves who was already here, but he came back type of thing. And then alongside those, there was also 12 people signed from other clubs from around the world too. I don't really need to show you the individual transfers here. Instead, I'm going to show you it on the squad screen, how we're going to set up with the same system, of course. That is the way it's going to be, of course. Instead, though, the team is going to look like this. All of them are new, basically, so just bear that in mind. We have signed Guillaume Rest to be our goalkeeper. He was at Arsenal, but wasn't really playing. We signed him for pretty big money. £54 million to be a really strong, good goalkeeper. Him and Atabolu and Dennis Simon feel like some of the best young goalkeepers in the world right now. We've got them for our teams, as well as our new gen keeper in Tomoc. In the back four, we've got Noah Mikic on loan from Wolfsberger. We've got the two centre-backs on loan from Wolfsburg, Torre and Claudio. At left back, there was a player that was already here. He survived the cut. It's Gonzalo Martins, who cut his teeth last season, apparently, at Stoke, but he's actually a very highly rated, good, young left-back, new-gen player. So we're going to keep him around, as well as having Alex Valla as the backup, who's also really, really good. In the midfield, it probably won't be you starting. I've signed a Seko and Killy from Bayern Munich. He's only 22, and we signed him for £8 million, and I think he's just a solid midfielder. He will play alongside Noah Darvic, who signed for Wolfsburg this summer, and then I loaned him here almost immediately. He actually played for Wolfsburg, played 2 games, scored a goal, got an assist, and then we sent him off to Portugal. Those are going to be our midfield 2, as well as the youngster Belaukazar coming in as an option 2. Obviously, there's going to be other backups. We signed Vujovic as a backup here, look, for example. Into the front 4, though, I've signed this man here, Tayfun Demiral, who I'm going to retrain as a right inside forward because he's left-footed. He's a wonder kid, 18-year-old that we've signed from Galatasaray. He's a Turkish international. He looks like he'd be brilliant. He can't play on the right-hand side yet. He's just a left-footed winger. I think as an inside forward, I think you're going to get a real... I'll just show you with his attributes here. I think you've got a really good player there. Can't really finish, which is why we're going to use him on the wing rather than as a striker, I suppose. But I think he can be really promising. Turkish international. He'll play on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, we've got a bit of a battle going on between Rodrigo Mora. I know what you're going to say. Rodrigo Mora would never go to Sporting because he's a Porto lad, etc. But he has on this save. So there you go. We've signed him here. It's because he's gone via Wolfsburg and then Wolfsberger and then ended up at Sporting. He will be in competition with Matthias França, who I actually think will be a really smart little signing. He was available for really, really cheap. So he's only 24 still. Hasn't worked at Palace, has it, in real life? But for 500k, I was able to pick him up. And I actually think he's good enough to start, definitely good enough to be in competition with Rodrigo Mora, as I mentioned. I think he's just a smart... We'll sell him for a profit no matter what you'd imagine. And then up front, we've got Roberto Ferrari, new gen striker, 18 years old. Under 18s international for Italy. He's really quick, left-footed, good finishing. We signed him for £27 million from Sampdoria in Italy. I think this is just, I mean, he's literally a wonder kid, so it's one of those, really. He will play alongside what I'm hoping is going to be another smart signing, a bit like França, Omar Marmoush. Now, it goes against what we're trying to do with the young players a little bit. He's 29 years old, but he's available for a snip of what I'd expect him to be. £5 million. It hasn't worked. He made a move to Bayern in this save for 29 million, look, and hasn't really played at all in 3 seasons. Or 2 seasons in, well, 2 seasons actually, because this was this season. £5 million in the Portuguese league. I've just got this weird idea that I think he's going to bang a load of goals, especially when we've got him in rotation with Ferrari, with as well Kusiaser, who we've loaned from Wolfsberger, who didn't really play for Wolfsburg. We signed him, look, for £12.5 million and then loaned him out to Sporting. And then I've also signed this youngster called Pedro Simoes from Gondomar, another Portuguese team. He's only 17, and another one that I think might well become a wonder kid. He only costs 375k, and I think that gives us 4 really good striker options, as well as enough depth in the squad, basically, with some of the other signings we made. I've also signed Dean Howson, who's not great in the game yet. In FM26, he's going to be outrageously good, isn't he? But at 23, he very much fits what we're trying to do here, and maybe he'll be a late bloomer. Maybe he'll develop into a really good player eventually. Those are our squads. Those are our transfers. We are going to try and win it all. I'd like to win all 4 leagues. It'll be difficult, probably most difficult with Sporting, and it will always be difficult with Wolves. But the other ones, I feel like we can go and try and win all of them, and that is the aim. And what I'm going to go and do now is, after talking to you guys for absolutely ages, I hope you like the rambling style of today's video, by the way, as I'm going to go to about January and then give you a mid-season update on how things have gone. See you then. Okay, here we are then on the 31st of December, so not quite January, but this is the situation. Let's start with Sporting. This is how the first half or so of our season has gone. Just not quite on halfway in the Portuguese league because of the winter break, but after 15 games, we're second. We're in a title race, actually. Only 2 points off Porto, who have won the league for the past 3 seasons, remember. We're doing okay. 15 games in, 12 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. We lost to Vitória and Rio Ave and drew to Famalicão. So, and then 12 wins in there. We haven't yet played Porto. We play them for the first time in January. Look, we play them away from home first. But look at the form You can't really complain with that, can you? There was a couple of losses early. Back in August, actually, look, for our last losses, when we lost to Vittoria and Rio Ave. We lost in the Europa League phase, but those are our only losses of the whole season. We don't draw many, but weirdly, we've drawn the last 2 games. But before that, we hadn't drawn a game for the entire season. So I'm very happy with how things are going, actually, here at Sporting. You see the goal scorers. Marmouche has got 14 and 19. I was right when I said that I think he's going to score goals. Kusiaser, by the way, doesn't start as many games, but has got 14 goals from the bench. And Marmouche is now at AFCON with Egypt. So it's going to be a time for Kusiaser to come in and start, I think. Kusiaser, by the way, if you're not familiar with him, he's 6'6". He's at Bayern Munich at the start of the game. And I mean, obviously he's 6'6". So obviously I like him. And we had loads of success with him in our journeyman save. I brought him, was it to Sweden? We ended up bringing him to, because he is Swedish, of course. I think it was, and he was brilliant in that. So I've got a slight affinity towards him just because of that anyway. Ferrari's got 11 goals, 6 for Demiral, who can now play as the right winger. Look, he's picked up that position, which is quite nice. And then we've got a couple of players wanted. Gonçalo Martins is wanted by, well, all of the players in the world. So we're going to have a fight to hold on to him, especially as he does have a release clause of £24 million. I wonder if I'm going to have to do something drastic here to make sure that we don't lose him. He's a really, really promising left back. Look, he's developing as well. I wonder if I need to buy him for 24 million with one of our other teams in Jan to make sure that he doesn't go to PSG, which is one of the teams that are looking at him. Either way, I'll be back with an update at the end of January to tell you any business that I do end up doing. And I think there might be a lot, because he's not the only player across the 4 teams that has lots of interest in him. So we will see. If I now go, let's go to Wolfsburg. Let's make our way up our 4 clubs. Let's start at the bottom with Sporting, who are doing brilliant in a title race. We could still go and get that title won here, although I don't expect it to happen. Europa League, by the way, after 6 games, we look good to go through in the top bracket, to go straight through past that playoff round into the last 16. I think it's the last 16. Let's go to Wolfsberger, who, as you might imagine, are top of the league. We've got this league lockdown. Let's just say that 16 games, we've won 15 and drawn 1 game. We drew to Everton, who are second bottom in the most Football Manager fashion you can imagine. Basically, we drew to them 0-0. We haven't lost a game yet, though. We scored 45 and only conceded 11. We're pretty good. Champions League, I'll give you an update there. We lost a game 6-4. Who did we lose 6-4? We lost 6-4 to Barcelona, look. But we are in 15th. Look, you can see the other 2 teams are in those better positions, looking to go straight through to the round of 16. Wolfsberger in 15th, played 6, won 2, drawn 3 and lost 1. I mean, we've only won 1 game in the last 5, but it's okay. We beat Lons and Ajax in this league phase so far. As long as we go through in the top 24, I'm okay with it. These are the stats of the players so that you can see. I think they're performing pretty well, but I do think what I mentioned about needing a proper striker at the start of the season might well still be very true. Majic is our top goal scorer with 10, but that's in 21 games in the Austrian Swiss league as well. So you'd maybe expect a bit more from him, especially as he's so good. He's 19. He's a wonder kid. Like, attributes-wise, profile-wise, I just think maybe I'd like him to be a bit more prolific. Maybe it will still come because he's only 19. However, I mean, and 1 in 2 isn't bad, is it? However, when he doesn't have Gruber next to him who scores all of the goals, he's got Seto who's only got 5 in 19. I thought Seto would do a lot better, to be honest with you. He's got caps for... Did he have caps for Japan before? I don't think he did. He's made his full debut for Japan now, but probably not because of his goal scoring. Only 5 in 19. Maybe this is why I don't sign 5'6" players. I only go for tall players because that's just sort of why. Majic is tall, by the way, 6'2". But yeah, Seto struggled a little bit. Our best performer, probably Barco from left back with the average ratings. Look, and Mastantuono, who's got 7 goals and also loads of assists. If I just show you this on here, he's got 8 assists, 7 goals. Look, he's been pretty good in on that right hand side. But yeah, that's the Wolfsberger team. Let's go across to, let's do Wolves next, who are not top of the league because we've had a resurgence of Man City this year. We've played 19, so they've played an extra game. Bear that in mind. If we won our game in hand, we'd only be a point behind. We're in great form as well. We've won our last 5 games, but we would still be in second even if we did win that game in hand. I'm not worried about it though, because we are performing pretty well. In fact, we're just off the back of a 7-2 win. Look, Sesko got himself 4 goals in that game. I don't think we need to dwell too much on the fixtures there. Instead, I just want to show you the stats of the players, show you who our star men have been. Profundi, 12 assists, but not many goals. Lots of goals for the others though. Krupi's got 18, 16 for Tresoldi, 19. Debut season in the Prem here for Sesko. 19 and 21 starts is fantastic. Archie Gray settled in at right back with 5 assists in there. But what I wanted to tell you about with Wolves is the idea that we're going to have to put up a bit of a fight to keep some of these players this January. Simon is wanted by Chelsea. Archie Gray is wanted by Manchester United. There is loads going on in the gossip sections, if you like. Archie Gray's value is over £100 million. United don't seem to be put off by that, and they have wanted him for months at this stage. So I don't know if we get a massive bid. I kind of feel like we're using him as a right back. I kind of feel like we could sell him and maybe reinvest it somewhere else. So watch this space with that one. We've also lost a few players, look, to AFCON. Baliba's gone to AFCON, so Carreras is going to have to play. Also, Abakar Silla has gone to AFCON. Two of our starting defenders are going to be missing for a whole month, basically. In the midfield, Pafundi is also wanted by Leipzig. Tresoldi is wanted by Salzburg and Dortmund. And then if you go through the list, there's way more. Penis is wanted by Chelsea. Vranks is wanted by Saudi teams. Spike Brit's probably less of a concern, but is wanted by Chelsea as well. There might be a conversation to have here about keeping hold of some of these players. If we get big bids, do we start to take the money for these players and reinvest them into, like, they're now hitting 26, 27, some of these players. Do we reinvest that money into new gens at this stage now? What does our transfer policy become at this stage? I think there is a conversation to be had about that. For example, Tresoldi, now 24, he's valued at like 70 million. If we got a 70 million pound bid for him, I think you could probably upgrade on him. Just looking at his profile, there's better strikers in the world. Maybe they don't score as many goals because he's been brilliant for us in his time at at 3 different teams here, although that one doesn't really count, does it? There has been a drop-off this year as well, look, down to 6 goals in 18 and a less than 7 average rating for the first time. Is there a conversation to be had about him bringing in somebody else to replace him? I don't know, but this is what I'm kind of dealing with my policies and the way that I'm going to approach this window at this stage. Finally, though, before any of that, Wolfsburg, this is the update for them. They are also second in the league, but it's on goal difference because we've both got 40 points at the top with Bayern Munich, who have been good this year, haven't lost yet. They've drawn 4 games. They drew to us away from home 0-0. We have lost 2 games so far. We lost to Cologne and to Leverkusen. We drew that 1 game against Bayern. We've won 13 of our 16. We're also doing really well in the Champions League, as you saw. I mean, look at the games there. There's 1 loss there to Cologne, a loss there to Leverkusen, and that's it really, except for a couple of draws. We won 7-0 against Barcelona recently. Look at the goal scorers. Sultani, youngster. Gruber, youngster. Rooney Bargi got a hat-trick. He came to me and said he was very unhappy with the lack of games. He's not currently unhappy now because I promised to play him. But is he one to have a conversation about if he was to be wanted? He's not right now, but he doesn't start because we've got Lamine Yamal, which is going to happen, isn't it, if you buy players like Lamine Yamal? But there will be a conversation about this squad as well, because actually it's a very small squad with all of the players that I've loaned out. If I go to filters, look, not at club, there is a lot of players now loaned out to other teams that we could recall if we need them, but I'm doing okay with quite a small squad at the moment. I don't mind it, but there might be a conversation to be had down the line at some point. Let me just put the best players in so you can see how they're actually performing. Hato as the centre-back. We are getting that backup youngster, Fiardo, when he finishes his season in Colombia, so he will come and help out the defence a little bit here. But Hato, Kirkes, these 2 are starters. That's probably our starting lineup. And then Iggy Dubs, the 16-year-old, has got 2 goals in 3 games, look. But it'll be usually Sultani who starts, who's picked up an injury at the moment for a broken upper arm. But these 2 would usually start, look. 18 goals for Sultani, 16 for Gruber in the Bundesliga now. So he's made the step up and he's scoring goals and he's also wanted by Spurs. Definitely don't go to Spurs. That'd be a terrible move for you. Martel, though, I think we will actually sign him because he's not a starter. We probably will need to replace him, though. We'll see how things go here. I guess I go to the end of January now and let you know if there is any transfer business that actually gets done because there are a lot of links. Let's see how it transpires. Okay, and here we are, 2nd of Feb. And let me tell you, I was expecting a few bids for some of our players. We got so many. I've been so busy in this January transfer window. Let me update you. We'll start with Wolfsberger, just because that's the team that I'm on. This is the January business. There's no signings for Wolfsberger, which is why I'm going to start with them. But I have sold a youngster there. I've also sold another youngster in Alberto Langer for £9 million. There is a buyback on him. I don't think that will show you on here, but it'll be in our clauses. I have got an option to buy him back in the future. I don't think we'll probably end up doing it because he looks like, I mean, he's unambitious and he doesn't look that good. And we got decent money for him. We bought him for 9 million. He didn't really play much. We've sold him for, well, it says 6 million, but it's going to go to 9 million. So we got our money back basically with a buyback if he does turn into a good player. Our scouts at one point did tell me that he's going to be good, but he just doesn't look that good these days. That's Wolfsberger. So very quiet on the Wolfsberger front. We'll go to Sporting next. Sporting have done a little bit of business. In Jan, I have sold 3 players. I have sold Duarte, who came back from a loan and then I sold him. And Longa, who came back from a loan and then I sold him. They were both players that were at Sporting before I took over. So to me, they are dead to me. They don't exist. Other than that, though, I have, as you will notice, sold Gonzalo Martins to Wolves. FIFA, if you're watching this, it's a completely legitimate transfer. Nothing to worry about here. He did receive a bid from Manchester United. They triggered his release clause. And so I thought I better do that as well. And I didn't want to go under his value. So I just did the release clause. And he obviously then chose Wolves because Wolves are a Champions League team. They got to the Champions League final last year. And I've probably given him a bigger wage as well. So Martins has gone, which did give us a bit of money, which I didn't invest in January. And I maybe should have been looking at a left back. But we do have Alex Valla there. So that's why I'm okay with Martins going. I did try and loan him back, but he really wasn't interested in doing it either, which was my original plan. Instead, though, I've loaned in Joe Bellingham, who was unhappy and really wanted a loan. So he's come in to be an extra option in the midfield from Wolves. I actually think it's quite a fun signing, actually. Go and get some game time in Portugal for Joe Bellingham. So other than the big sale of Martins, also relatively quiet at Sporting, it's the other two clubs where things get a little bit crazy, really, for a January window. I will register Martins here. Let's go to Wolves, where we have got a new record signing. In our midfield, welcome Gavi. Yep, we've spent a lot of money on Gavi. He's only 24 still, and he is outrageously good, and he's going to go and play as one of our DMs in our system. We have spent £116 million, rising to £136 million. That, plus the Gonzalo Martins deal, you're probably thinking, where have you got this money from? Well, we had a big sale, which prompted me into this. We sold in January Archie Gray for £152 million. Record sale of a player in ages for me. £152 million that will go to. Those are installments that he will actually get to. £152 million. I've also sold in this window Nicolo Trasoldi for £76 million. We talked about it before. Salzburg did come in for him. I just looked at his profile and thought he's been a great servant for us, but actually I think we can upgrade on him. I think we can find better players than Trasoldi. It might not be straight away, but I think eventually we'll get a better striker in than Trasoldi. And those big money sales actually put the club on a really sound financial footing. They weren't terrible anyway, because we're in the Champions League, etc., and we're in the Premier League, and you get so much money. But that's over £200 million in January brought in, which is quite nice, isn't it? Of course, I've spent it all though, because I brought in Gavi, Martins, and then finally Marvin Wattio, who is a new gen wonder kid striker who he's got polos on his eyes. That's my Twitch stream has a lot of answering to do. This is where I now need to explain why I've edited in polos on his eye. So we used to have a striker on an old save called Marvin something, who we nicknamed Marv the Mint. I don't know why. And I don't even know why at this stage, but he was called Marv the Mint, and then because of Marv the Mint, we then put polos on his eyes, as if that's a normal sentence. And then this time around, Marvin Wattio is also called Marvin, so he's the new Marv the Mint, so he's also got polos over his eyes. Anyway, he's a very good striker, left-footed wonder kid, French, in the under-21s for France. He scored 4 in 8 for them, look, and he's really good, and he cost us £24.5 million and scored on his debut. That is all that's the important stuff right there. He comes in to replace Trasoldi. He'll be better than Trasoldi, right? I'm not tripping there, right? He will be a lot better of a striker anyway. 6'2", he's more meta. He comes in, I think that is, for the money exchange, £24 million spent compared to the £76 million in sales. I think it's a pretty good swap, isn't it? Especially with Gavi coming into the midfield. Gavi, by the way, the plan is for Gavi to play as a defensive midfielder in this system, and Alex Scott becomes our right back. He can't play there yet, but actually he's going to be bloody good there, isn't he? He is. I know you're going to hate the right back thing, but actually look at his profile. That's a right back. I'll show you with wing back because it's got the same attributes highlighted here. That is a right back. He can cross, he can dribble, he's got a great engine, he's fast, he's got amazing work rate, amazing technique. He can pass. Well, to be fair, he can do everything because he's amazing. He's been a really good defensive midfielder for us, but I actually think he might even be better as the right back. And I'm quite excited for him to learn it because it means we play Gavi and Adam Wharton here. Look, it's a really fun team. Then stick Marvin Wattio in up front. Look, and take out Penis, etc. Again, that's a ridiculous sentence, isn't it? But that was a lot of January business for Wolves, and there was also a lot at Wolfsburg where again, I sold a couple of players. January, look, I sold Eric Martel, £8 million. That was expected. I've loaned Rooney Bargy. He came to me again and said he was once again unhappy with not starting. And I was like, we've got Lamine Yamal. You're not going to start. So he's gone on loan to Napoli. However, this deal has the potential to go through permanently for £105 million. They probably won't, just because that's so much money. And I feel like they're not going to have that in their transfer budget, and then they won't be able to do it. But if he comes back, he might have had a loan where he's played a load of football, and it might not be the end of the world anyway. And if it does go through, it's £105 million, which I think is too much money for him. He's good. But again, a bit like Drasoldi, I think you can actually, we've already upgraded on him because we've got Lamine Yamal. I mean, like, he's great on FM Rooney Bargy, isn't he? But is he 100 million good? Is he 100 million good? I'm not so sure about it. So he's gone out. Then finally, Robert Renan. I love Robert Renan. I mean, look at those teeth, first and foremost. But he's been a great servant for us. He was actually our captain. He's got 17 leadership, but he wasn't a starter anymore. And Real Madrid have bought him for 52 million, rising to 70. We spent 13 on him. He's made his debut and he had a shocker, apparently. So I've allowed Robert Renan to go. And that did mean that, this already small Wolfsburg squad was threadbare by this stage. So I did bring in some replacements. I signed in Janluk Castello Lucaba, who's available for £48 million. This guy is not a £48 million defender. He should probably be a starter for us. Only 26 still, but I think he could start and Hato could play at left back in lots of games. That's if, depending on whether we want Kirkes or Hato as the left back. But this guy's fantastic. I really like him in real life, actually, as well. So he's come in for 48 million. And then I spent, because we had loads of money left over and Bargy's gone out on loan, I've brought in Savinho, who had a really good loan spell here, actually. And I liked the storyline and like bringing him back in. He went to City, look, played a load of games, played well. We've spent 50 million to have him permanently, and he can play both sides, which is what I like about him. He's really good cover to have in a really small squad. So Savinho is back. The squad now looks a little bit like this. Javi Simons plays lots of games, but won't always start there because Matthias Tau might play. And then up front, you play Soltani. It is very interchangeable with lots of different players to use. Kirkes look coming in at left back, for example. I love this squad. That is a team of that's a really fun team, isn't it? With Florian Wirtz playing right back. And that is our January window. It's a lot. I told you a lot had gone on. There's a lot to update you on there. From this point, though, we are currently top of the league, just gone out of the cup here. From this point, we are fighting on all fronts still at this stage. I'm going to come back maybe just before the end of the season to give you an update of what the title race is looking like, hopefully, if there is a title race. Or I'll be back at the end of the season to tell you how it's gone. But season 5, there's a lot on the line right now. I'll see you towards the end. Okay, I'm back on the 30th of April, where for some of the seasons, we've got like one game to go. And I'm just going to, there's a lot on the line, so I want to tell you about it before we find out exactly how it goes. Here in Austria, we've got Spineless Wolfsberger top of the league. However, it was a breeze up until this point, the last time I gave you an update. Right now, though, into the last game of the season, we have to make sure we win it. We are big favourites, of course, but Salzburg have closed the gap to 2 points. They've won so many games in a row of Red Bull Salzburg to close this gap. Look at their thing here. They lost in the cup, but they've won every Alpenliga game since they lost to Basel in December. They've won every league game since that point, look, to close the gap right down on us. And we've been struggling a little bit. We have dropped points in 2 games in a row there. We lost to Salzburg. We went out of the Champions League, by the way, to Juventus. We got to the round of 16 and then Juventus. We beat them 3-1 and then lost 8-4. I don't know what to do about that. That's just weird Football Manager stuff. Look, it went to extra time and they just scored 1, 2. They scored 2 in extra time. And there was a 92nd minute goal, a 95th minute goal. There was a 97th minute goal. They scored 3 in extra time, 103, 109 and 95. It was just a silly game of football against Juventus to knock us out in that one. And we also went out of the Alpen Cup as well on penalties to Salzburg. But there's a lot riding on that final game for them. Other than those, though, let's go across to Sporting, where they are also in with a chance of winning the title. They are not the favourites this time. It's kind of flipped around. They have to hope that Porto drop points in the final day of the season, but they have dropped points in 2 of their last 2 games. Look, they lost to us and then they drew to Portimonense. There's actually 2 games to go in this league. If Porto slip up, we will be right there, hopefully to take the title away from them. However, Porto are still the favourites. 2 games to go. They do have that point leads. It's all to play for Sporting, and I think that's again ahead of schedule. I didn't expect us to win the league, and we probably won't still win the league. But as long as we get in the Champions League, I'm happy, and that's what we've actually achieved to do now. Over to Wolves, where their season is actually over at this stage. There's 2 games to go, but they're going to finish second. They've got a 5-point gap to third, and City have won the league. So we aren't going to win the league again for a second successive season, but it's been a good season. We might end up with 84 points, which is a good season, isn't it, overall? But City are already on 85. So they are champions. We've done okay. Krupi looks second. Sesko got 18 league goals in his first season. Average rate and Naipan really improved this year. Didn't play loads of games, but look, only 10 starts. But when he has played, he's been very impressive for us, playing both as a winger and as a defensive midfielder. Then finally, to go to Wolfsburg to show you how they're doing. They are looking good for the title. However, they can't mess this up. There's 2 games to go. They need a point to make sure they win the title. The reason that I say they can't mess it up is that we did actually drop some points recently. Look, we lost to Bayern Munich, and then we lost to Leipzig away from home. I put a friendly and I panicked, and we did a friendly against Gifhorn to try and make sure that things were good. And since then, we have won both games. We've got St. Pauli at home and then Gladbach away from home. Again, it's on a knife edge. 3 out of our 4 teams are still in with a chance of winning the league title, but there is bad news. Champions League-wise, we went out in the quarter-final. After winning it last year, we lost to City. We beat them at home. We lost 4-1 away from home. And we're not going to have a Champions League winner this year because they got to the quarters. We went out to Manchester City, as you've seen before that, in the round of 16. Wolves went out to Real Madrid. We got a bit unlucky with the draws, I will say. That was 6-3 on aggregate for them. And Wolfsberger, I showed you before, went out to Juventus, both in the round of 16. I want to get us to a point in this save where we've got all 4 teams in the semi-finals of the Champions League. It's not happened this year because round of 16 took 2 of them out. And I mean, one Sporting weren't even in the Champions League. And then and then in the quarterfinals, Man City knocked us out with Wolfsburg. So I'm hoping we can at least win a couple of league titles here to make this season not be a complete disaster. Otherwise, it's back to the drawing board and trying to strengthen again. We let a lot of players go. Maybe this is now the summer where we have to go big with signings, try and get those 4 teams, which are all going to be in the Champions League next year, to try and get them all, try and get them to the latter stages of that competition. Let's now go up until the end of May to give you the final standings for each of these clubs. And here we are then. It is now the 21st of May and our seasons are complete. Here in Portugal, we have just played a nice little bonus here. The Taça de Portugal final, where we beat Braga in the final 2-0 to win our first trophy as the Sporting manager. First proper trophy anyway. However, in the league, we did win all of our games, look, from Porto onwards, but we did end up not winning that league title. Porto did the business they needed to do. We ended up 1 point behind them at the top of the table. It's actually kind of heartbreaking that we got so close, but we're back in the Champions League, which is the main thing. And we did run them really close. A 34-game season with 86 points is a pretty good result, isn't it? Only 4 losses all season. We lost to Porto, Gil Vicente, and then those early losses to Vitoria and Rio Ave. We've gone close with Sporting, and the players, the squad, I was actually very impressed with. Better than I expected, actually. With the chance, with some money now, 61 million to go and spend. Massive wage budget, look. With the chance to strengthen here, with us being back in the Champions League as well. I think a defensive midfielder is probably a place to look at. Maybe an extra winger, because I'm not quite sure that these guys were as good as I was hoping they were going to be. But we'll have a look at things in the summer, as we always do. From Sporting, let's go to Wolfsberger, who have won the league every season, I'll remind you. Every season in this save, and well, they did it again, actually, luckily, because Salzburg messed up. Salzburg didn't win their last game. They drew their last game, and actually we did quite well in the end. We won our final games at 5-0, 3-0 and 2-1 after drawing to Lausanne and Grasshopper. We got ourselves over the line in that final game. 90-point season. It is our 5th successive title. They're all good on the Wolfsberger front. Over to Wolves, where we know that they finished second. And then over to Wolfsburg, who had to make sure they won their last couple of games. We did. We won 9-0 and then we won 2-0. Wolfsburg are again champions. That's 3 in a row for us now after winning it last season and the season before that. 86 points is the total. And that concludes what is, I wouldn't say an amazing season. It's 2 league titles, 2 teams finishing second, a Champions League disaster. Oh, Sporting, by the way, in the Europa League, you probably want to know how they went in that competition. We went out, look, to AC Milan in the round of 16. European-wise, I think that's a bit of a disaster. Can we go as far as saying it's a disaster? Especially when you consider how much money has been spent here. I think we have to go and improve next season. My aim, and I want to hear from you guys about where we take this series to now. My aim for me, I want to get to that Champions League real pinnacle of all of them in the semi-finals. That's my big dream here. We'll see if it's possible. Do you want me to continue this save? Do you like videos like this? Do you want me to keep playing and bringing you YouTube updates on it? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you do enjoy this, please show me you do so by liking the video, because it really does help. It really does help with the video and the algorithm, etc. And leaving me comments also helps with that as well. Thank you. If you made it to the end, you can officially call yourself a spineless soldier. Just thought of that right now. So let me know that you're a spineless soldier in the comments down below. Have a lovely rest of your day. Don't forget, a new series starts this Sunday at 10 AM. A link to that stream is in the description of today's video. And if it's already happened, go and watch the VOD. I'll see you there.